All right, so it sounds like we're diving deep into education in India today, huh? Specifically, how it connects or doesn't connect to getting a job.
Sounds about right.
We've got a pretty hefty stack of reports, articles, even some firsthand accounts.
Oh, wow.
And it looks like all roads lead to a 2025 report, School Education Report to Make Students Employable.
By Rakesh Raman.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen this one.
Yeah. It seems like you're trying to get a clearer picture of, I don't know, maybe the education landscape. Maybe for yourself, maybe for someone you know.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Whatever your reason is, buckle up, because this is going to be a deep dive.
Definitely a deep dive.
Okay, so this report doesn't really hold back.
No, it doesn't.
It starts out with a pretty, well, grim assessment of just where things stand.
Yeah, it kind of throws you right into the thick of it.
Let's unpack this a little.
Okay.
The report is claiming that India's school system is not really preparing students for success in the job market. And that's actually a big factor in the rising unemployment, especially among young people. Now, does it back that up with any specifics? Like, are there numbers?
Oh, yeah, for
What do you feel
sure.
like?
For example, there was a report from 2024, and it found that 60% of graduates from the IITs, the Indian Institutes of Technology,
Wow.
couldn't find jobs.
Okay, and for context, those are supposed to be like the top engineering schools in the entire country.
Yeah, they're considered the best.
So that number is huge.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, that really challenges the idea that, you go to an IIT, you get a degree, you're guaranteed a good job, right?
You would think so, wouldn't you?
You would think, yeah.
But apparently not.
So if graduates from those schools are struggling, it does make you wonder what's happening with the rest of the system, right?
Exactly. And the report does look into that.
Okay.
It digs deeper and tries to figure out, like, the root causes of this disconnect.
This disconnect between education and employability.
Right, exactly.
So what's going wrong, according to the report?
Okay, so the report pinpoints a few major, I guess you could call them culprits.
Okay.
First, the curriculums, they're outdated.
Outdated, how?
They're just not in line with what employers actually need these days.
Okay.
Then there's teacher training, which the report says is inadequate.
Meaning?
So teachers aren't really prepared to bridge that gap,
Between what's being taught and what employers are looking for.
Exactly. And then on top of that, there's just this fundamental disconnect
Okay.
between what's being taught in schools and the skills that are actually in demand in the real world.
So it's like schools and businesses are operating on completely different wavelengths.
Kind of, yeah.
Schools are setting out these graduates with a certain set of knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
but companies are looking for a whole other skill set.
Pretty much.
It's almost like they're speaking different languages.
Yeah, it's a communication breakdown.
To illustrate this point, the report actually lists out these subjects that are currently taught in schools that are considered pretty much irrelevant in today's job market.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to imagine,
What do you mean?
like spending years learning about, I don't know, the causes of World War I
Right.
when employers are really looking for people with digital skills and critical thinking, things like that.
Yeah, it's a mismatch for sure.
So the report, it names these supposedly redundant subjects.
It does.
Like, what are some examples?
Okay, well, it calls out stuff like understanding quadrilaterals.
Quadrilaterals.
Yeah, like shapes.
Okay.
And then there's the periodic classification of elements.
Like the periodic table.
Yeah, that's the one.
Got it.
And then, understanding the Earth's interior.
Like geology?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so I'm seeing a theme here.
What's that?
Like very traditional kind of old school subjects.
Yeah, you could say that.
So are they saying that these things have zero value?
Well, no, not exactly. It's more like their dominance in the curriculum is crowding out the important skills that students actually need.
To thrive, you mean?
Yeah, to really thrive in the modern world, like problem solving, the ability to learn new things quickly, adaptability.
And these are things you can't just memorize from a textbook.
Exactly. It's not about rote memorization anymore.
And that brings up another point the report makes.
Yeah.
This disconnect between education and employability, it's not just an economic issue.
No, it goes deeper than that.
It's impacting students' well-being.
Right.
The report actually talks about, stress, anxiety, even increased suicide rates.
That's heavy stuff.
That are linked to the pressures of a system that's just not serving them well.
Yeah, imagine feeling like you're working hard, getting good grades, but you're still not prepared for the future.
That's rough.
It is. It can lead to a lot of disillusionment and despair.
And that's where we'll pick things up in the next part of this deep dive.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, it can be a pretty bleak picture.
So is there any hope?
Well, actually, yeah.
Okay.
The report actually proposes a solution. It's pretty bold, though.
Okay, I'm all ears.
It's called the Constructive Education Framework. The Constructive Education Framework, CEF for short.
CEF, got it. And what is that exactly?
So the basic idea is to like directly link education to employability.
Right.
So instead of focusing on, just exams and abstract concepts, it's about giving students practical skills and knowledge they can actually use in the real world.
So are they saying ditch all the traditional subjects altogether?
Not necessarily. It's more about like shifting the focus and changing how things are structured.
How so?
So instead of just subjects, the CEF has modules.
Modules.
Yeah, and these modules are designed to prepare students for specific professional fields.
Like what? Give me an example.
Like financial management, digital media, entrepreneurship.
Okay, I see. So more like career paths.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You know what? One thing that really stood out to me in the report
Oh, yeah.
was how it includes, like, use of public services and even entertainment as subjects.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like they're recognizing that education isn't just about, book smarts.
Yeah.
It's about preparing students for actual real-life situations.
It's like a more holistic approach to education, I guess.
Yeah, this CEF, it sounds promising, but how realistic is it to, like, overhaul a whole education system?
Yeah, that's a big undertaking.
I mean, that sounds like a monumental task.
The report does acknowledge that it points to potential roadblocks like bureaucratic inertia, political resistance, even pushback from parents and teachers who are used to the old way of doing things.
Oh, I could just hear the "we've always done it this way" argument now.
Right.
So the report doesn't just kind of throw out this radical idea and then just leave it at that.
No, it does lay out some specific steps.
Okay, like what?
For implementation, starting with pilot programs.
Pilot programs.
In a few select schools.
For kind of like test it out.
Yeah, exactly, like a beta test.
For an entirely new education system.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that.
That's ambitious.
Yeah.
As the report address the urgency of all this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The author, he's very clear that this is an urgent matter.
Like, how urgent are we talking?
Well, he actually describes the current situation as a ticking time bomb.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't mince words.
He doesn't, huh?
Nope. And one of the more surprising things he recommends is to completely ban private tuition.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would he suggest that?
His argument is that private tuition is basically just a Band-Aid
Okay.
on a broken system.
I see.
So, like, if schools were actually doing their job, students wouldn't need all that extra help outside of regular classes.
So instead of patching up the holes with private tuition, fix the system itself.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
He even suggests taking the money that's currently being spent on private tuition and redirecting it to improve public education.
Interesting.
Invest in teacher training, create better learning materials.
That's a pretty bold idea.
It is. It definitely makes you think.
It does. It does. And this whole thing kind of underscores the government's responsibility to provide, quality education for all students.
Yeah.
Not just the ones who could afford extra help.
Right. And this goes beyond India, too.
Yeah.
These ideas, they could apply to education systems anywhere.
I like how the CEF emphasizes learning for earning.
Yeah, me too.
That's almost like reframing education as an investment.
Instead of just like a societal expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
And that shift in mindset, it could be really powerful, especially for students from low-income backgrounds.
How so?
Well, it shows them that education can be a path to financial independence, a way to break the cycle of poverty,
It's about giving them the tools
exactly
to create their own opportunities.
Instead of just waiting for them to appear.
And that ties in with another interesting part of the CEF, the enterprise clustering model.
Right. So instead of pushing all graduates towards like traditional jobs, the CEF says, well, why not let them create and manage their own enterprises?
Okay.
Maybe even collaborate with existing companies.
It's like a built-in incubator for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, exactly.
And the report actually lists a bunch of business streams that could thrive under this model.
Yeah.
Things like multimedia content marketing, handicraft production, research and analysis.
It's not just about creating jobs.
It's about fostering innovation.
Yeah, and self-reliance, especially in in rural communities.
Where traditional jobs might be harder to come by.
Right, exactly.
So this model could really change things.
It could. It could be transformative.
So this is a pretty radical shift, right?
It is.
Like in how we even think about education. But how do we actually get there? Like, how do we go from this big, bold vision to making it a reality?
Well, the report really stresses accountability and transparency.
Okay.
It calls for independent committees of experts to monitor the quality of education, track progress, and just make sure the system is actually working for the students.
So not just taking the politician's word for it.
No, not at all.
You need to prove it, that things are actually getting better.
You need outside perspectives, data, and you've got to be transparent about everything.
To keep the system honest.
Right, to hold it accountable.
It sounds like this Rakesh Raman, he's not afraid to, like, shake things up a bit.
No, he definitely isn't.
He's not afraid to say what he thinks.
He's definitely passionate about education.
Yeah.
And that passion, it really comes through in the report.
It's not just criticism.
No.
It's like he's giving solutions.
Yeah, he's challenging the status quo.
And he wants everyone to get involved.
To help create a better future for education.
It's really inspiring, honestly, this whole deep dive. It's been so thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It's not just about India. It's about, like, the whole point of education and how we can do a better job of preparing young people for the future.
For whatever that future holds.
Yeah, no matter where they are in the world.
Exactly.
You know, aside from banning private tuition.
Yeah.
What stands out to you the most from his recommendations?
Well, I think his emphasis on moving away from just rote learning towards a more hands-on, more practical approach is really important.
Especially in today's world, right?
Exactly. The world's changing so fast, the jobs of tomorrow might not even exist today, so.
We need to prepare students to adapt.
Right.
To solve problems, to learn on their own.
It's about giving them the tools to succeed in any environment.
It all comes back to that idea of equity and opportunity.
Yeah, for everyone.
But let's be real, making these kinds of big changes, it's going to be a battle.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, the report even mentions the quote, dirty politics that often surround education. It's easy to get caught up in all the political talk, you know?
Yeah, especially around elections.
Exactly. But what we should really be focusing on is what's happening in the classrooms.
Right. Not just what politicians are promising.
Yeah. Actions speak louder than words. Right.
And that's where that focus on accountability in the report comes in.
Right.
It calls for those independent committees to keep tabs on everything, you know, make sure things are actually improving.
So it's not just like trust in the politicians to grade their own homework.
Exactly. You got to have those outside perspectives.
Data, hard numbers.
Yep, and be transparent about it all.
To keep everyone honest.
To hold the system accountable.
It really seems like this Rakesh Raman.
Yeah.
He's a real advocate for change in education.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, he's not afraid to tackle the tough issues. Challenge the status quo.
He's definitely not afraid to speak his mind.
You can really feel his passion for education.
Yeah, it comes through on every page.
It's not just complaining. He's actually offering solutions.
Real concrete solutions.
And he wants everyone to get involved.
Yeah, he wants everyone to be part of building a better future for education.
Honestly, this whole deep dive has been so inspiring.
I agree.
And thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It's not just about India. It's about the core purpose of education.
Right.
And how we can better prepare young people no matter where they are.
For whatever the future holds.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about giving them the tools to succeed.
This deep dive, it's been a real eye-opener.
It has.
Given us a lot to think about, both in terms of the challenges facing India, but also those broader questions about the future of education, you know, globally.
Yeah, it's a global conversation.
So what resonated with you the most from all of this?
You know, for me, it's that reminder that we all have a role to play in shaping the future of education.
Whether you're a student,
a parent, an educator,
or just a concerned citizen.
Your voice matters.
It does.
And that brings us to our final thought for you to ponder.
Right.
The report focuses on India.
Right.
But do you see any parallels to the education system in your own country? What skills do you think are going to be essential in the job market 5, 10 years from now?
Good question.
This deep dive, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, the real learning starts now.
The real work starts now.